Alright, so for Starfish, which is going to be a lateral leg extension or leg abduction rather. So this is a movement that's going to target your glutes, and it's how much it targets which glute is going to be dependent on the position of your leg the whole time. So what I do with Starfish, for just a very, very basic version, I'm going to be just kind of in this, hey, I'm lounging around in the ground position. The first thing I'm going to have you guys focus on is what is the position of your hips here, right? If they're tilted forward, you're going into kind of more of a back extension a little bit, which is not, again, it's not inherently a bad thing because we're working on glutes, we want to have some of that. But if you guys are going to be working on that, I'd much rather you guys be coming into kind of this position and coming up that way, rather than, and I did not try to make that clean, so no comments. Okay, so from here, I'm going to be in this kind of relaxed side plank position. I want to be making sure. A lot of times, what I see is that people a lot of times will settle into this dropped back hip position. Because what happens there is, guys, you're moving the tension away from your glutes into your hip flexors. Because if I were, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to hold this position and I'm going to lie back. Right? That's the position I've ended up in. That's not the position I want. So if I'm dropping my hips back, I'm switching which muscles have to be working. And a lot of times people do that because they're trying to increase their range of motion, right? We don't have a great amount of range of motion in this lateral abduction kind of position, right? So from here, my shoulders engaged, right? I'm maintaining good posture here. I don't want to be sitting up here. I know I was doing that. So you could be parallel. You could be big toe to heel. I usually teach this big toe to heel. Now, if you externally rotate as you come up and you put your toes to the ceiling, right, you're working more of your glute major, right, which basically comes into your sacroiliac joint and then wraps around and attaches straight into your leg. So when your glute major activates, it either will pull your leg back or it will start to abduct as well, but it will also cause that external rotation. Now, your glute medius wraps around and hits both sides of the head of your femur. So it can cause internal and or external rotation. So if I maintain a parallel position, I'm going to be targeting that glute medius more, right? Which tends to be underactive on a lot of people. So it's probably a good thing to be doing. If I try to point my toes to the ground the whole time, my knees to the ground, now, because my glute minor actually goes to the front of the femur, now I'm targeting that little tiny glute minor. And again, the more I go into that internal rotation, the less range of motion I'm going to have with my femur, right? So again, if I go up, I could probably eventually bring my knee to my ear. If I go from parallel, right, I'm a little bit lower, right? If I focus here, oh my God, that's a lot lower. Like that's almost 50% less than I got with external rotation, right? There's your internal, external, right? So maintaining that vertical position is going to be one of the most key things onto this exercise, paying attention to where your hips are and making sure that your leg is going straight up and down. Again, you know, if you're going from your feet are parallel, then you're doing more of a straight abduction. You're not getting any of that hip extension backwards. And we want to have a little bit of that so that we can get a lot more of that underactive gluteus going on there. Or that we are addressing that underactive gluteus, not causing it. So that is going to be your Starfish, aka a side plank leg abduction. If you guys want to progress that one, here's the progression, right? Okay, I'm going up into that side plank position. So now I'm working the glutes on the other side, and other stabilization muscles here on the other side. I'm getting a little bit more core out of it. And also, you know, the thing is, when we talk about side planks, like this side plank position, right, is it can eventually become easy for you to maintain over time, right? You're gonna get good at it. But once you find even like that, okay, this actually gives me more structure. I feel more like I could hold this all day. This is a little bit harder, right? And if I'm going through that range of motion, now I'm getting quite a bit more of that. And again, guys, if you're seeing a lot of your knees caving inward, or you're tracking over to one side when you're doing your squats, and it's implying that you have a weak external rotator slash abductor on that side, then this is a good movement to start strengthening that and getting it more active, and will help with that squat. So there you guys go, your Starfish.